Testing audio. Rustico, can you hear me okay?
Hey, Kev, it's Evangel.
Oh, hey, Evangel. Okay, obviously you can hear me okay.
I can hear you. I can see you too.
Great, thanks.
All right.
Hi everyone, we're just checking our microphone. Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you guys have a presentation?
We do have.
Yes.
We have a direct compliance presentation.
Okay.
For Wipro.
Hi there, I'm just doing a video and sound check. Can you guys hear me?
Hey, Cynthia, it's Evangel. Sound good,
Hey.
look good.
Okay, wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
This is Cooper.
Evangel, it's Wayne. Is there anyone in the council chamber?
Hi, Wayne. There's no one here except me and Rustico.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
You're aware that we'll need to remove item 3 from the agenda at the beginning of the meeting?
Yes. So the chair can just note that at the beginning that the item 3 has been removed.
Okay, thank you.
just doing the sound check. Can you hear me? Good. Thanks.
This is Canopy.
Okay, it looks like we have our panel here. Mr. Clerk, are we all ready to go?
We're good to go, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Welcome everyone to the Development Permit Panel meeting for October 20th, 2022. On the panel today, we have Cecilia Sham, she's our General Manager of Community Safety, Peter Russell, Director of Sustainability and District Energy, and I'll be chairing today. I'm John Irving, General Manager of Engineering and Public Works. The panel today is, we're going to deal with a few items here, and we address the issues of form and character of the applications. We're not here to address issues of land use or density. Just looking at the agenda today, I understand item 3 on the agenda is being removed, that it's not ready to come forward and will be brought forward at a later date. Mr. Craig, did you have anything to add there?
No, that is correct, Mr. Chair. That item is not ready for consideration today. It will proceed to a future meeting of the Development Permit Panel with appropriate mail and newspaper notification.
Great, thank you. So if there is anybody here from the public who's come to speak to that item, yeah, that will be discussed on the agenda today. So with that, moving to our agenda, can I have a motion to adopt the minutes of the previous meeting?
So moved.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. So with that, now we'll move to our first item on the agenda. It's a general compliance request by Chunghwa Hotel Group. And if the applicant is here to make their presentation, you have the floor. Please introduce yourselves for any speakers and proceed with your presentation.
Thank you. Good afternoon, PPP Chair, panel members. My name is Salim Narayanan and I represent IBI Group Architects. I am here with my colleague, Roman Binenbaum. We also have owners representative and our consultants team from ESA, Arborist and Landscape present here. Thank you for considering our application. What you see on the screen is an overall massing study of the site complex. There are 2 hotels at the site.
I'm sorry, Salim, just sorry to interrupt. We're not seeing anything. Are you sharing your screen?
Yes, we are sorry for that. Can we put something?
Sorry, give us a second.
Can you see the screen now?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
So what you see is an overall massing study of 4 buildings on the site complex. There are 2 buildings fronting Bridgeport Road at south and 2 office buildings fronting Beckwith at north. 946 Beckwith is a 12-story office building that is nearing completion now. There is an ESS zone site located between the Hotel 1 and the small office building. Our attempt here is to present a proposal for addressing the loss of 22 trees existed in this ESS zone. The next slide, please. So this is an overall site plan showing all the 4 buildings and the subdivision shown in red line for each of those buildings. The ESS zone, which is that is in discussion, is in this green shaded area on either side of the subdivision property line. With that note, I will hand over this presentation to our ESA consultant. Thank you. Libor, can you address the presentation, please?
Hi, Salim. Jeremy from Keystone Environmental here. So my name is Jeremy Nilsson. I'm a registered professional biologist with Keystone Environmental. We prepared the restoration prescription for this environmentally sensitive area. As described, there was a loss of 22 trees associated with this environmentally sensitive area. These trees are documented here. To address the loss of trees and corresponding loss of habitat values within the ESA, a number of measures have been put forward. First, 5 of the trees that were assessed as being suitable for retention as standing dead wildlife trees will be topped and retained in a fashion that is safe for the adjacent land uses while still contributing wildlife habitat value to the ESA. In addition, Keystone has prepared a comprehensive ESA restoration plan that addresses the deficiency in conditions. We've been through multiple revisions of this plan in consultation with the City of Richmond, specifically through Kevin Ng, who's been very helpful in providing feedback and recommendations through the design review process in various iterations. So these are the 5 trees that will be retained as wildlife trees being shown on the screen currently. If we can advance to the next slide, please. And so this is the restoration prescription within the ESA for tree plantings. The restoration prescription addresses the underlying conditions that led to the loss of the original trees in the first place. There was the retention of water within this area due to the increase in elevation of the neighboring sites. As such, part of our restoration prescription is to raise the grades within the ESA to match the grades of the adjacent sites and to otherwise modify the drainage conditions such that we do not have the retention of water within these areas that led to the decline and death of the trees previously. In addition, we are removing the invasive plants that have become prevalent within the ESA, primarily Himalayan blackberry, and we are installing a lift of planting medium, high quality topsoil that will be suitable for facilitating replanting the ESA with a comprehensive assemblage of trees, shrubs, and ground cover. This will result in the development of the habitat values that were sought to be retained in the first place. So this includes habitat values for the local bird community, as well as small mammals, invertebrates, etc. In addition, there have been significant efforts throughout the remainder of the development sites with regard to adding additional trees or upsizing previously prescribed trees to meet the tree compensation requirements for the loss of 22 trees. And to speak further on that, I will turn this over to Andrew Danielson from VDZ.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'm Andrew Danielson. I'm the landscape architect with Vanderzalm Associates. We've been involved since the development permit, the original development permit on this project. So as Jeremy said, we lost 22 trees, and in discussions with Kevin on compensation for those trees, it was determined that we provide 66 additional trees. So 31 of those are located within the ESA, and the other 35 have been provided in the landscape areas outside the ESA, but still on site. The requirements for some of these trees, they all needed to be a certain size. So the minimum size acceptable was 8 centimeters caliper for deciduous trees and 4 meter height for conifers. We've provided this, it's outlined in each of the schedules for the additional trees. In addition to providing these trees, the city had a requirement for 33% of those replacement trees to meet a greater size, which was 24 centimeters caliper, 8 meters height. Through discussions with Kevin, who's been very accommodating on this, it was determined that we're not going to be able to achieve that. The reasons are basically availability. We have spatial limitations on the planting areas on site, and we can't guarantee the survivability because larger trees tend to have not to be as like adaptable to survival. So to compensate for not providing 24 centimeters, we had 2 additional items. For alternate compensation on the additional replacement trees, 33% were asked to be upsized to 10 centimeter caliper or 5 meter height. We provided this, we made the 10 Acer macrophyllum within the ESA 10 centimeters, as well as the 4 Acer rubrum red rockets being provided outside the ESA. The 6 liquid amber, also outside the ESA, were updated to 10 centimeters, and the 7 Picea glauca were up to 5 meter height. This gives us a total of 27 out of the 66, or 41% of these replacement trees. The other criteria was to upsize 33% of the trees that were already proposed, which are the black ones on the plan, to 8 centimeter height or 8 centimeter caliper to 4 meter height. For this, we upped all the Populus tremula erecta, which are the small circles basically around the west and east perimeter. That was 48 of those to 8 centimeter caliper. On the 9520 Beckwith Road, the site on the north, we upped the Acer rubrum to 10 centimeters, so they would match the 2 replacement trees upsized, so they'd all be the same size. And the Pinus contorta, which are just on the edge of the ESA, which we had already been provided and are part of the additional, we upped those to 4 meter height. And for the Thuja plicata, we also made those 5 meter height. So that's a total of 65 trees meeting the 8 centimeter criteria or better from the original DP for 61%. So combined, we have, sorry, I didn't do the math here. So 93 trees in total. And this is basically just a summary table of the tree measures we took. So 3-to-1 replacement ratio and a breakdown by each of the sites. So that's all of our measures. Are there any questions?
Thank you. That concludes the presentation.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And maybe if you could just stop sharing for now. We'll go to staff. Mr. Craig, are there any staff comments on this?
Through the chair, just a couple of comments to add. There will be a 5-year monitoring program required for the ESA replacement planting. In addition to the monitoring plan, we are securing additional cash securities in it to ensure the planting, as described, is installed and maintained and survives the monitoring period.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the panel?
Yes, if I may, Mr. Chair. I'm very disappointed that the trees that were slated to be capped didn't manage to make it. So I just want to hear a little bit about what measures were taken to protect the trees and make sure, or to take care of them. What I'm wanting to establish is whether this is an accident or whether it is a deliberate removal of trees that didn't fit the plans. Secondly, I want to hear about from, I guess, the agrologist or arborist to hear about what is this proposal equal in ecological value to what was destroyed? How does it compare?
So, Byron, if you may add to what happened to the trees, that would be helpful. Or explain and claim the arborist can.
Yeah, I guess I can give a little bit of background. The loss happened due to several reasons. First of all, during the preload stage, as already was mentioned, site on the north and site on the south, the elevation was raised, and the preload itself put some considerable pressure on the soil and caused the compaction of the soil. Additionally to this, there was a change of season. Basically, there was a dry season and followed by wet season, which added more to the water collection in this area. Additionally, there was a water main break along Bridgeport Road that caused water seepage or water ingress into our site, and this ESA area being the lowest point of the site that basically received most of this water. Now, regarding the measures, so the measures were taken. Trees, per prescription, trees were there was a fence installed. During dry season, a contractor was watering the trees and maintaining soil. During wet season, there was a pump installed that was continuously pumping the water out of the basically ditch that was created due to conditions and following that reloading stage. Eventually, trees couldn't survive basically this ordeal.
And there was an arborist engaged to monitor the trees and evaluate the conditions. And honors representatives, Byron is here. Byron, you wanted to add anything to that situation?
Hello. So the situation is we found out this the trees looks, you know, we are not arborists, we are the developer, and we noticed that the tree turning ground is around like 2020. And before that, we follow the direction from the arborist, and we build the fence, and as explained by Roman. We also keep watering the trees as per direction, per the arborist direction. However, we found out there's an issue is there's a keep coming pumping water during the winter season for 2020, and which caused by either both this 2000 is a really rainy year, and also the elevation for that ES area has been the lowest point for the whole site. Also, there's a broken water main which is on Bridgeport, and it was broken from the March of 2020 and being fixed by January of 2021. What we done is we constantly pumping the water out, but we noted that tree is turning brown, and we have the arborist on site. We try our best. Its trees decline, and it's some more technology issue. If Glenn, our arborist, can give more details about that. Yes.
Yeah. So sorry, I think that is enough. So I'm satisfied that it wasn't a deliberate act of negligence, I guess, if I could say that. What I would like to hear about is how does the ecological value of the proposed mitigation compare to what saving the original stand would compare? How do they compare? Are they better, equal, worse?
Jeremy Nilsson from Keystone here. I can address that question. The restoration of the ESA cannot be like for like, as it is not feasible to restore mature trees exactly akin to what was lost due to the size of the trees that were lost. However, the aerial extent of the ESA has been maintained. A comprehensive restoration plan has been advanced that will result in the same size of area being densely vegetated with native plants to a degree that it will be suitable for use by the same local wildlife elements that would have used the ESA in its pre-disturbance condition. The additional tree plantings and upsizing of trees throughout the site can be viewed as making up the balance of environmental value that was effectively lost by going from larger trees that were slated for initial retention to the size of trees that are prescribed for the restoration now.
So for a layman's perspective, they would be sort of equal?
Equal but different.
Yeah, understood. Yeah. I guess this is a question to staff. What have we secured measures to keep the tree planting alive? I know there's a damage deposit and all that, and arbors being retained, but is there a irrigation system, regular inspection? What's the regime like?
Through the chair, yes, there will be a 5-year monitoring plan requirement for this, to ensure that once installed, the trees are maintained in a appropriate fashion to ensure their survival. During the construction process, the project arborist is required to be on site for any works in or around the tree protection zones. That does include installation of irrigation systems and hand watering as needed during drought seasons.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Russell?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just a few questions. I perhaps missed this, but the affected site is, I guess, will the elevation be brought up and then they'll be planting in that space?
Yes, that's correct. The elevation within the ESA will be brought up to match the grades on the adjacent sites, both to the north and south, to preclude a repeated occurrence of the retention of water in there to the detriment of the vegetation.
Okay, thank you. And then I guess maybe you could speak if you talked about habitat value and heard birds and mammals, but is there any, can you speak to the pollinator aspects of the planting scheme?
Oh, certainly. So the planting scheme, as I described, is like a holistic approach. So we have both trees, shrubs, and ground cover components, including shrubs that do bear fruit. So this was selected on the basis of plants that are suitable to the regional area, to the local site-specific conditions, and are anticipated to be able to survive through forthcoming extreme climate conditions, heat domes in the summer, prolonged wet periods in the fall and winter. Generally speaking, this is an assemblage of plants that is suitable for use by local native pollinators as habitat. It was not designed explicitly to prioritize pollinators over another aspect of the ecology.
But there, just to be clear, there's a net new plantings that have additional pollinator values.
Yes.
Okay. And then, Mr. Last question. I'm just noting the compensation seems to be biased towards the perimeter. And I get that because you have these discrete areas where, it's a bit more wild, if you will. But I noticed there's no additions to the courtyards. Maybe you can comment on why that area wasn't looked at for new plantings. And maybe not the courtyard, but I guess the receiving areas of the hotel drive-through area. I see some kind of planter islands.
Andrew, landscape architect, can you comment on that, please?
Yeah, when I was planting the trees, there's a number of considerations. Like the planters right in the middle and centered in the hotel. There's actually overhead canopies in there, so the 3 trees that were already proposed for there are about all that can be fit in. And it's similar to the other areas. It's just we don't have the space, and there's parking considerations that needed to be addressed because I don't think the original DP, I think we were short parking before, but we had a compensation, but I don't think we can afford to lose parking spaces. But yeah, it's basically space issues. Underground utilities are running through here. We have street light setbacks, and that's why it's mostly around the perimeter. It's just the place that has the most space to accommodate the additional planting.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to be sure that it was looked at, and it sounds like it was. Thanks.
Okay, any further questions from the panel? Great, seeing none. Do we have any comments from the public?
None, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and do we have anybody from the public here who's wishing to speak?
There's nobody here in the chamber, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I can't see that individual, but are they interested in speaking on this item?
No one is here in the chamber, Mr. Chair.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you said there was one person there.
There's none, Mr. Chair.
Okay, great. So for panel deliberation, maybe I'll just kick that off. I appreciate the replacement plan here and the answers provided to the panel's questions. Maybe just more of a comment to staff. Obviously, this is an unfortunate situation where a lot of efforts put into preserving and conserving significant and mature trees. But obviously, we're seeing a lot of challenges with climate change, extended drought, and extreme rainfall. So perhaps it's a takeaway for staff to look at our practices with regards to how we're proposing to preserve mature trees, and maybe there needs to be extra scrutiny on tree well scenarios in regards to ensuring adequate drainage under a variety of scenarios, or whatever the solutions may be. I certainly wouldn't want to try to prescribe anything, but we certainly would want to avoid, to the extent possible, any repeat of this scenario. I don't know if there was any other comments from the panel.
No, that reflected my thinking too. As I said, I was disappointed that, the trees that looked quite mature is lost, but I hear a whole bunch of factors came together to cause it. So.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, the only thing I'd add is, I think clearly there's a beneficial gain at the end of the day with the upsizing of the trees. So, I think despite the loss, there seems to be an adequate level of compensation.
Great. Well, then we have a positive staff recommendation. Can I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Seconder?
Yep.
Great. All in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate the panel's understanding on this matter.
Great. Good luck with the new plantings.
Thank you.
So moving on, we have item 2, development permit 219344726. The applicant's Dosa Construction Limited. If we have representatives from that group, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourselves and tell us what you'd like us to hear.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jiang Su. I'm the architect for this project. I will share my screen. Yeah. Okay. So this is a duplex project, four-unit duplex project located at 6700 Francis Road. The project is located at the southwest corner of Francis and Gilbert in Richmond. There are some existing duplex projects already in the nearby area, and adjacent to the site to the east, there are 2 similar projects which passed the DP already, received the development permit. And through the rezoning stage, we propose to subdivide the lot into two. And this is the site plan we proposed. Roughly, we have on each individual lot, we have one building with a front and back duplex building form. So two lots altogether, 4 units with a shared driveway and a shared vehicle entry from the front. And at the end, we have a shared parking, visitor parking as well. And in the middle, we have the carport with a vehicle courtyard over there. We'll leave it to the landscape architect later to talk about the soft and hard landscape design. And we provided private carports to each unit with one standard vehicle, one small vehicle, and one standard shared visitor parking. And this is the building form, front and back. Also, we introduced the roof deck in the middle to break up the massing over there. So it looks like we have a 4 massing over there, but actually there are 2 buildings. And this is the street elevation. We input the adjacent developments into this, and also there are existing buildings on both sides. This is our site in the middle. And talking about the building form and massing, we worked with a planner to put in efforts to differentiate 2 buildings. So the color scheme is different. The window treatment is different. Architectural treatment on the porch and the color and the materials, they are all different. We try to create a different image. And the entry porch, this one has a column, the other one doesn't. The best can deliver the canopy. Over there, roughly we provided 2 color schemes for this project, although we only have 2 buildings or 4 units. One is a warm tone, the other is a cold tone. And in the original design, we had an roof deck, open roof deck at the back, because the bylaw said we have to have a smaller upper floor and a bigger ground floor. And if we set up the sloped roof, it's really will impact the size of the window, the CO height. However, through the DP review stage, we understand there were concerns from the residents nearby for privacy and overlook issues. So even we have to have a small flat roof to allow the window to happen. We didn't set up the guardrail and we didn't set up a door. Roughly, this is a non-occupiable flat roof over there. And talking about privacy, we proposed smaller windows. Normally, the high windows are on the side facing single-family developments, properties on both sides. And all the big windows, major windows are facing the courtyard, which cause less privacy concerns because we have a driveway separating 2 buildings. And although we only have 4 units, we provided 1 convertible unit to as per city's recommendation, and the design of the one of the unit fully complied with city's convertible unit design guideline over there. I'll hand it over to our landscape architect. Lu, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lu Xu from RPL Projects. I'm the landscape architect for this project. So, Jiang, actually, could I use your? I would just use share the screen. Could you?
Yeah, I'll stop. You can share the screen.
Okay, could you see it? The share.
Looks like something's coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, now we can see.
It's good.
Okay. So first of all, this project, we're trying to use permeable pavers for for the site. You could see in the middle of this driveway, we all use permeable paver. At the same time, we use 2 different color tone to give it a sense of a walkway on the side to approach to on both units. In the front, we proposed 4 trees. Basically, it's 2 trees for each unit, and 2 trees. Each unit have 1 tree on the back. So each both totally have like 6 trees. We proposed on the backyard because there's a right of way, so we keep the existing trees as is. Also taking consideration of the drainage, we put a trench drain in between the right of way and the private garden to collect the water. On the side yard of both duplex, we have a permeable gravel paving, but at the same time, we have a vine planting to give some vertical greenery on both sides. So this is the permeable paver we're using. We use like a warm tone sand brown color for the pedestrian and use the gray tone for the driveway. On the patio, we use 2x2 concrete slab from the Oxford Concrete. This is just data sheet. In terms of planting, we have taken consideration about using the bird-friendly plants and also the drought-tolerant plants. We also think about in the consideration of different seasonal planting as well, such as we have the Japanese gold forest grass and the black-eyed Susan in the summer. Also the trees, we use Japanese maple for the fall and the Sturdia and the Conus clusa for the summertime. We also integrate the conifer trees and the hedge to balance the planting. This is just grading. So I think it's pretty straightforward in terms of landscape. That's the main key feature I want to share about. That's about it.
Okay, does that conclude your presentation?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, while this is still up, sorry, Peter, could I just get one clarification? The concrete paver, or the concrete slabs for the patio, they're individual pavers, so there's still permeability?
No, those will count as a hardscape. No
hardscape.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. If you could just stop sharing for a moment, that would be great. Mr. Craig, are there any staff comments on this?
Just 2 comments, if I may. The project is being designed to meet energy level step code 3 with the provision of heat pumps for heating and cooling of the units. Those units have been or will comply with the city's noise bylaw and have been cited to limit any impact on adjacent properties. There is also a servicing agreement associated with the project for frontage improvements to Francis Road.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the panel?
This is more for consideration item because you've taken care to use a lot of permeable pavers. I do wonder if the patio could be of similar value to increase permeability into the soil. That's more of a suggestion for staff to take away and work with the architect, if that's agreeable.
We're happy to take that direction and work with the applicant prior to the development permit advancing to council for consideration.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just had one question. If that's okay, I can wait. If you want. Yeah, I'm not understanding or reading the plans correctly or the views that were provided, but just the carports, are they on like in the east-west direction? They open, or is there a wall on the outsides of the parking stalls along the property lines?
Yeah. Roughly they have the cover because we do have the building and the roof deck above, but there was no end wall to on both sides. There was no overhead gate, no overhead door, and there was no wall at the back. However, we do have a little bit of wall at the back to hide the garbage bins over there.
Okay, so it's open on the east-west elevations, or yeah, east and west elevations, but it's I guess a half wall.
Yeah, let me share my screen. If you can see here, we have the opening over there, and we do have the wall to hide the garbage bins. And even in the design stage, there were concerns from the city and the neighbor, the glare, the headlight glare will have the light pollution to the neighbors. It's why we set up the fence, and the landscape provided some special treatment over there. So roughly, this is the plan. We have this full height wall with garbage bins at the back, and this is open. And at the front, it's open.
Okay, are there, what does the side yard setback include? Is it, there's no sidewalks or anything in that location, is there?
Side yard, it's 1.28 meters, complied with city's requirements.
But it's just like lawn, like turf.
Yeah, 1.2 is the minimum, I believe.
Through the chair to Mr. Russell, it's a gravel pathway with some climbing vines adjacent to the fence to provide further bolstering for headlight glare.
I see. Okay.
And
No, I had nothing to add, Mr. Chair, beyond that. Thanks.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I noticed one more thing. They have roof deck on top of the carport. And what are we doing for privacy for the adjacent neighbors for overlook?
I can explain that. Yeah, give me 1 minute. Okay. Screen. So this is the open deck, and it's open towards the courtyard side, our side. At the back, we actually have a building mass over there, blocking the view to the adjacent side.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no further questions, Mr. Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to comment?
None, Mr. Chair.
And any correspondence to read into the record?
No correspondence, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I guess we'll move to panel deliberation. The questions have been adequately answered from the panel, so I'll be happy to support this. I don't know if there's any other comments from the panel. I understand, of course, staff will go back with the applicant as to Mrs. Sham's comments with regards to the permeable patio pavers, so we'll take that under advisement. I'm not sure if anybody else had any additional comments.
I'd like to just note the performance on the step code. It's a good result for the city. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We have a positive staff recommendation. Can I get a motion on that?
So moved.
Seconder? All in favor? Thanks very much for your submission. Good luck with your project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So we have removed item 3. And I understand the next meeting date of October 26th, we don't have any items, so we can cancel that. Mr. Craig's nodding his head. Could I get a motion to cancel the next meeting of October 26th?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Thank you. And a motion to adjourn.
Woohoo! Yay!
So moved.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good evening.
You guys.